First of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the folks at the Changing Life and Destiny Conference. This is my second one. I know they've been doing it for quite a while, Alan Roxy. So if you're here to learn about sunscreen, you probably found the right place to go. I know there's a lot of controversy about it. My background is I'm a PhD chemical engineer. I also am a registered patent agent, not an attorney. And I also teach. I teach at Duke University. I teach sustainability and intellectual property in the engineering school. So they still let me do that even though I graduated there a long time ago. This is the title of the topic of the discussion, Not Your Mom. Suntan lotion, right? Probably your mom or maybe even you, depending on your generation, used, the copper tone suntan lotion. Now it's called sunscreen by the FDA, the sunscreen smoke screen. So what do I mean by that? Well, things have changed, right? So that's what you remember. If you're old enough, and even if you're not old enough, you probably have seen this. I actually know the gentleman who knew the lady who who was the baby that they did that for. So that was actually a real person at one time, a real baby that Coppertone got real smart about. And of course, Coppertone has changed hands many times, is now owned by Bayer, of all things. They were owned by Schering-Plough, then they got owned by Merck, and then Merck was purchased, the Merck personal care division was purchased by Bayer, if you're not aware of that. So sunscreens that are being made in the United States mostly are being made by three companies, Coppertone, which I already mentioned, who's now owned by Bayer, and Neutrogena, which has been owned since 1995 by Procter & Gamble, and Banana Boat, which has been owned since 1992 by Playtex. So it gives you an idea of the size of the corporations that are making the sunscreens that everybody knows about. So we say, if there's a product that you wouldn't put in your mouth, why on earth would you put it on your skin? And we fully believe that this is a real issue that a lot of people don't even consider. I imagine that most of the people here understand that your skin is your largest organ, right? So you really do have to protect your skin as well as your body. And if you don't protect your skin, people don't think about their skin. Most people don't think about their skin. I think most of the people here are different. But most people don't think about their skin as a sponge, right? So, and as a chemical engineer, I think about our body as a black box. Garbage in, garbage out, right? Garbage in, the black box falls apart, no matter what it is, right? So you are what you eat, and we decided a long time ago that we were going to make a non-endocrine disrupting, cytoprotective, immuno-enhancing sunscreen. So here are all the toxic substances that are in PHC, personal health care products. And you know these all, right? I think we have a misspelled word there, but it doesn't matter. Deodorant is deodorant. So at least 475 chemicals, and this is a fairly old slide. So you've all heard about the fact that maybe, and I think we've been hearing about this for probably 40 years now, that the sunscreen that you use is probably potentially worse than not using any at all. And I used to hear that growing up, and I'm sure you probably heard it too, and the answer is, well, is that really true, or should I really be using sunscreen, or what, right? Well, it turns out that there are toxic substances in all skincare, and none of those are really good for us, right? Some of them are carcinogenic, tetragenic, right? And of course, none of these products that I showed here would you want to put in your mouth. So again, your skin's your biggest organ. So here's why we decided to make other products. When deciding to purchase a product, how important are non-toxic ingredients? And you see, everybody said important and extremely important. And that wasn't taken as a poll from a place like this, which would 100% would say extremely important, right? So sunscreen. And on a day like today in the bright sunlight, beautiful day outside, you're going to be exposed to UVA, UVB, and those are different wavelengths of light. What this shows, and it's very important, is that UVA is the long penetrating rays, okay? UVB is absorbed by the epidermis skin layer, whereas UVA goes all the way down to the dermis skin layer, because you have layers of skin, right? All that makes sense, okay? So what happens is, these are at different wavelengths of light. And as you know, there are different types of sunscreen. Some are called mineral sunscreens. Some are just chemical sunscreens, which the industry likes to call it organic sunscreens. But as you probably know, organic is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, has nothing to do with organic foods, right? Which has a completely different meaning. It's approved by the USDA, US Department of Agriculture. Sunscreens have nothing to do with the USDA. The USDA doesn't have anything to do with sunscreens. The FDA has a lot to do with sunscreens because the FDA considers sunscreens to be a drug because it's administered to an organ, which is your skin. Okay, so zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, as you can see, not only absorbs the light, but it also reflects the UV rays. So you've got a double whammy capability of protecting your skin from sun and sunlight. The chemical ingredients absorb UV rays and penetrates the skin. So what's happening with organic, quote unquote, chemical sunscreens is the light penetrates to the sunscreen that's on your skin. And as soon as the light hit those organic substances, organic sunscreens, chemical sunscreen, those substances change. And what happens is they change into something that's highly undesirable. Okay? So here's the technology we came up with. And the plot on the bottom left is really what you want to pay attention to. So you see where it says UVB, and you see that it's blue shaded. And you see where it says UVA, and you see it's yellow shaded. Okay. So what happens is, from 290 to about 330 nanometers is UVB. To about 320 nanometers, sorry, is UVB, right? UVB is the only thing that SPF talks about. So if we go outside today, 15 minutes, what's going to happen is we're going to start to burn. Well, in 15 or 20 minutes of starting to burn, what is your body telling you? Your body's saying, you got all the UV light you need today, you got all the vitamin D you need today, and anything after the point of you starting to turn pink or burn, your body's telling you, get the heck out of the sun. You don't need any more sun. From that point on, you're essentially overexposed, right? Overexposed to not only UVB, but UVA. And if you remember the previous plot that showed the UVA light is the long penetrating rays that go deeper into the dermis. So think about this. 20 minutes, let's say 20 minutes in the sun, just to make it easy, times 30 SPF, sun protection factor. Most people don't know 30 SPF is sun protection factor. Sun protection factor based on how long it how long it takes your skin to turn pink. So let's say 20 minutes, today's light in Dallas, right? You go outside, you put the sunscreen on, you're protected now. 30, SPF 30, let's just say it's a 30. Ours is 35, doesn't matter. 30 times 20 is 600 minutes of protection. That's 10 hours. Okay, that's essentially all the light there is during the day. 10 hours, right? 600 minutes is 10 hours of protection from what? Protection from UVB. UVB is what causes you to turn pink. Has nothing to do with UVA. Nothing to do with UVA. So you're getting 10 hours of protection from turning pink. Your body's not burning. You think you're protected, and you are, but only from one of the two spectrums that matter. The second spectrum was UVA. UVA matters a lot. It matters so much that that's what causes DNA damage and aging and wrinkling. And guess what? If your immune system's impaired, like my two 20-year-old buddies that I used to surf with at different times, they had different doctors that told them the same thing when they got melanoma, you better stop surfing or you'll get it again. Why? Because they were exposed to UVA and UVB for extended periods of time, because if you surf in 20 minutes, it takes me 20 minutes to get in the water, right? So by definition, I'm overexposed by the time I do what I want to do outside. Does that make sense? Okay. So what happens is you're getting overexposed to UVA, long penetrating rays, DNA damage, aging, wrinkling. If your immune system's impaired, like my poor 20-year-old guys who probably ate at McDonald's every day, right? Immune system impaired, potentially skin cancer. If you live to be 65 in the United States, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to get some form of skin cancer. What does that tell you about sunscreens? They're probably not working very well, right? There's just a high probability they're not. So this is the plot that I'm telling you about. And this tells you exactly what's going on with mineral sunscreens. So not all mineral sunscreens are created equal. Why? Because mineral sunscreens are water-based, 70% water by definition, 70% water, and 30% something else, up to 25% either titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. Zinc oxide, chelated zinc oxide is what we use, and we basically have in our product that green line. Every other mineral-based product is the red or the blue line from different companies. The green line is our product. That absorbance curve that you see there is exactly what the absorbance curve of pure zinc oxide looks like. Why? Because pure zinc oxide is something that only exists in the pure state. And to keep it from turning into zinc hydroxide, there's special things you need to do. Zinc hydroxide is a salt. You've probably used mineral sunscreens, and when you opened them up and used them for a couple of days or a week or a month or a year, they turned into toothpaste. What happens is they are salting out. Zinc oxide, and I know this is a little bit to ask of everyone, zinc oxide is not a salt. It's a metal oxide. Zinc hydroxide is a salt, and every other mineral sunscreen, which uses water, is making zinc hydroxide. And over time, the zinc hydroxide does two things. It turns into a salt, and it does not stay zinc oxide, right? So, thank you. So, basically, you can see we've been able to create something with glycerin base that increases our SPF, that increases our water resistivity tremendously. See how the SPF is maintained across the entire UVA spectrum. Important, right? Because not only are you not going to burn, but you're not going to get exposed to UVA, which is going to cause DNA damage, aging, wrinkling. So these are the things you've heard about, unhealthy dose of hormones because of endocrine disruptors, allergic reactions, skin cancer, a false sense of security, inhalation. That sums it up. So what's in your sunscreen? These are all endocrine disruptors. Female mimicking hormones discovered by a woman, Margaret Schlumpf, who in Switzerland, University of Toxicology at the University of Zurich in Switzerland, a colleague of mine, she discovered in 2001 that the back of females' rats, when they were lathered with chemical sunscreens, the uterus was growing abnormally large, which indicated they were endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors, what are they and why? I won't go into detail. Most people know they're female mimicking hormones. This is a study that was published in 2005 in the Journal of Toxicology. I'm one of the authors. And as you can see, Third Rock was the only product on the market that could prove they were endocrine disruptor free. So there's avobenzone, there's benzene. You've heard about that 2 summers ago, going on 3, I guess. Everybody said, oh my God, there's benzene in sunscreen. Well, guess where it came from? It came from there, okay? From avobenzone and oxybenzone. Those are chemical sunscreens that reduce UVA instead of UVB. So obviously benzene's not something you want, and benzene comes out of the sunscreen because those chemical bonds break, either when it's on your skin from the sun or when they're manufacturing it during the heat. So applying sunscreens and associated toxins, unfortunately, there's a lot of breast cancer out there. It's not just from sunscreen. There's a lot of other endocrine disruptors and a lot of other problems. We make a deodorant spray instead of an antiperspirant. So there it shows that this stuff is safe. This was at a farm, a dolphin farm. So basic question, what do you want to use? This is the stuff we have at our booth. We're at booth 64. If you want to come visit, everything's patented and everything's trademarked because that's what I do for a living. I'll end it now, and hopefully if you have any questions, they'll give me some time to answer them. Appreciate you all being here very much.